So you understood the pathogenesis now? Center of pathogenesis is membrane damage because of this free radical. And this free radical is neutralized by this pentose phosphate pathway. If pentose phosphate pathway has defective enzyme glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase, then it will not be able to supply this NADPH, and that will be required to detoxify or neutralize this free radical. That would damage membrane. So free radical will become high, especially during an oxidative state. These are the oxidative stress. You will feel parvavin, some certain infection. In our question, the infection was in infectious mononucleosis, and then here certain drugs infection and parvavin, they cause increased oxidative stress inside RBC, and that will produce more free radical. More free radical means more supply of this NADPH. If this enzyme is let's say this 80% absent, this enzyme is only 20% present, so this enzyme will not be able to supply, this step will not be able to supply NADPH, and then so now let's see this. So what will happen, as I have explained this pathogenesis, oxidative damage to RBC membrane and hemoglobin by free radical damage, also to hemoglobin, or not only membrane but also to hemoglobin, oxidative damage by free radical due to lack of NADP, and hemolysis due to membrane damage. And then what is Hinz body? Hinz body is nothing but actually damaged hemoglobin. So when hemoglobin is damaged because of oxidation, when hemoglobin is oxidative damage, when there is oxidative damage to hemoglobin, that hemoglobin will clump together, and that clumping of hemoglobin is nothing but Hinz body. Hinz body is nothing but clumped hemoglobin. This is the pathogenesis. You will see Hinz body and then hemolysis. Now we will see the diagnosis. How would you diagnose? We will collect the blood. We will see that blood in slide. When you see the blood in slide, you will see this type of very, very, very thin type of, very different type of accumulated hemoglobin. These are called Hinz body here. You can see Hinz body. These are Hinz body. So Hinz body, and you can see a bite cell here. So these bite cells and Hinz body will be present in the, if you see the slide of the blood, in this is called peripheral smear, blood smear. So blood you take out and then you put that blood into slide, on the slide, and stain that slide, and you see these Hinz bodies in the RBC and bite cells. And there will be less RBC, less hemoglobin. When you test that hemoglobin, that is also this is because this is an anemia, as we have seen in our case, 9 gram per deciliter, 9 gram per deciliter hemoglobin was there. Irregular small cells, and these small cells are irregular. These are called, and these Hinz bodies are there. Reticulocyte, because when blood is damaged, there will be an attempt to formation of new blood. In that process, what will happen? This immature blood can come into the circulation from bone marrow, and this in immature RBC, the RBC that is high in RNA, are called reticulocytes. So you can see many reticulocytes in the RBC. The reticulocyte generally is less than 3%. So the reticulocyte count can be above 3% in this cell. Now this, you can see this Coombs test means the Coombs test is done to rule out the immunological cause of RBC damage. The antibody can damage the RBC, and this Coombs test is done to eliminate that. So if Coombs test is negative, that means this RBC hemolysis is not because of antibody. So Coombs test will be negative in such condition. Quantitative assessment of glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase. So you do the glucose 6, you test the glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase activity in blood, and it will be less in G6PD deficiency. So what is the inheritance? So why does it happen? So which gene chromosome is involved? It is an X-linked X-linked recessive. This is an X-linked recessive disorder. So you will see in such condition the presentation will be pallor, as all type of anemia has such presentation: pallor and fatigue, easy fatigability, headache, lethargy, jaundice, and dark urine. So jaundice is because of hemolysis, and dark urine is because of jaundice. So this jaundice and dark urine, lethargy, headache, fatigability. History of exposure to fababine, oxidative stress. History of oxidative stress is there. And because this is episode, this glucose 6 phosphate deficiency will have an episodic presentation. It does not have, like, it will not have presentation always. That is why you can see in our case the patient is 25-year-old. Because of episodic present, the patient will have presentation in an episode when patient is exposed to high oxidant. So this is all about this G6PD deficiency. You can see this is fababine, you can see, and Hinge body in large slide. You can see this accumulated. Hinge body is nothing but inclusion within RBC composed of denatured hemoglobin formed as a result of oxidative damage, and macrophage in the spleen remove this denatured hemoglobin. So there will be damage to this hemoglobin, this RBC, and this hemolysis will happen inside spleen. This is a hemolytic, and you can see this is, and this bite cell is result because of an attempt of macrophage eating of this RBC, and that will produce a bite cell here. So bite cell is due to macrophage removal of membrane. So you have seen these two peculiar features: Hinge bodies and bite cell. Remember these two peculiar feature, and then exposure to oxidant. These are three peculiar feature to G6PD deficiency, and there will be presentation similar to anemia, that is easy fatigability, headache, and then you can see pallor, fatigue, and headache, lethargy. These are the common presentation of anemia. So these are the drugs you can see. The very important two drugs are: one antibiotic, which is called sulfonamide, and second drug, very important drug, is antimalarial drug. So there are some other drugs you can see. Antimalarial drugs are quinone, hydroquinone, and these are the drugs: quinidine, quinone. These are they will cause oxidative damage. So these are very important two drugs that causes oxidative damage: sulfonamide group of antibiotic and antimalarial drug, hydroquinone, quinone. These are the antimalarial drugs. So these two drugs can cause oxidative damage. Now let's see this other enzyme deficit. Let's talk about this other enzyme. This enzyme is NADPH oxidase. So NADPH oxidase is involved in host defense. You can see host defense. As I have told you, it is involved in immunity and thyroid hormone production. We will see that in this NADPH oxidase in terms of immunity and NADPH oxidase. We will see the clinical significance related to that. So host defense, mitogenesis, you can see mitogenesis, and this hormone biosynthesis. I have already told you hormone biosynthesis, which hormone, thyroid, on apoptosis and fertilization. This NADPH is involved in all these functions, and a very important function is hold the host defense, oxidative burst. I have told you. Let's see this question. So a father bring his 3-year-old son to the pediatrician because he is concerned about his health. His father, this baby's father, child's father is concerned about child's health. He states that throughout his son's life, he has had recurrent infection despite proper treatment and hygiene. So despite proper treatment and hygiene, this children is having a recurrent infection. Upon viewing the patient's chart, the pediatrician notices that the child has been infected multiple times with Staphylococcus aureus. Aspergillus and E. coli. So these are the infection and that happens to low immunity condition. So what is the diagnosis? Anyone try to answer what might be the diagnosis?
NADPH deficiency.
NADPH oxidase deficiency. That's good. Oxidase deficiency, because this is involved in immunity. That is why if it is deficient, so what will happen? There will be recurrent chance of infection. That's good. So what is the inheritance and pathogenesis? We will study about this case. We will elaborate this case here. Now let's see this. This is NADPH oxidase. If you can see this the protein, it is NADPH oxidase is not one protein. It is a group of protein. You can see it is a group of protein. So NADPH oxidase, if you can see here, it is X-linked. It has got X-linked protein also. And then this other chromosome protein derived from other chromosome as well. 16 number chromosome, 7 number chromosome, 1 number chromosome, and this 22 number chromosome. So these are derived from other chromosomes. So this is whole protein will function as NADPH oxidase. So any of this protein damage can cause decrease in activity of NADPH oxidase and a deficiency of NADPH oxidase. So this is NADPH oxidase. So now let's see what will happen. Let's first talk about oxidative. What is oxidative burst? I have already explained you, so you can see the stages of oxidative burst. So I have taken this picture from your step 1 first aid. You can see this first step of this NADPH oxidase. You can see this enzyme is NADPH oxidase. So this is this enzyme. It is present in membrane, though it is shown here. So don't confuse that it is present somewhere around here in the hair. It is not there. It is bind to the membrane. So it is just to show the reaction. So it is present in the membrane, and this enzyme will change this O2 into superoxide to peroxide. Now the second enzyme will be superoxide dismutase. It will convert superoxide into peroxide. This peroxide, I told you, this peroxide will combine with chloride and it will form a hypochlorous acid. And I told you this hypochlorous acid is very toxic. It is like a missile to bacteria, molecular missile to bacteria. So that is why this mechanism burst. So it will produce missile and throw on the bacteria like hypochloric acid, and this hypochloric acid will damage the bacteria. So this is the mechanism of production of hypochloric acid. You can see this third enzyme. You can see third enzyme is myeloperoxidase. So myeloperoxidase enzyme deficiency can also cause, but we will not talk about this. We'll talk about this also. This enzyme deficiency can also cause, any of this enzyme deficiency can cause this immunological deficiency. Now glutathione peroxidase, you can see this high amount of this free radical can be converted into, will be actually nullified, because it will, if it is in very high quantity, it will damage membrane. So it will be neutralized, and you have already studied this, how it is neutralized. It is neutralized by this glutathione. Ultimately source of electron is NADPH. Reduction is NADPH. So NADPH will rejuvenate this glutathione, and glutathione will actually neutralize free radical. You can see you have already studied this. So you can see this, if there is damage to this, there will not be production of this, and if there is not production of this hypochloric acid, there will not be damage to bacteria, and that is why there will be high chance of bacterial damage. So this NADPH oxidase deficiency will cause this disease. This disease name is what is the name of this disease? Tell me, anyone? What is the name of this disease?
Chronic granulomatous disease.
Yes, chronic granulomatous disease. You can see in this disease, oxidative burst is dysfunction. It is not effective, and that is why what will happen? So bone infection, osteomyelitis. Bone infection is called osteomyelitis. Frequent and difficult to clear skin infections. There are frequent skin infection, bone infection. So because this, our skin, lungs, and intestine, they are exposed to bacteria. That is why infection will happen in skin, infection will happen in lungs, pneumonia can happen there. Swollen lymph nodes, lymph node will be swollen, gingivitis, and non-malignant granulomas. So granulomas will be there. So what is granuloma? Granuloma is fibroblast growth and formation of the lesion that is actually surrounded by fibers. These are granulomas. That is why these are called that is why the name is, you can see, chronic granulomatous. So this is granulomas, chronic granulomatous disease is because of infection. Our body, this lymph node, our body will try to contain that infection by fibrosis. So that is why granulomas. Granulomas is nothing but fibrotic capsule is granuloma. So gingivitic, this non-malignant granulomas, so slowly granuloma will develop and swollen lymph nodes. These are the features. So what are the features? Infection first. Which infection? Bone infection, skin infection, and lymph node. Gingivitis. These are the infections you will see. And as the disease name suggests, chronic granulomatous. So granuloma formation. You can see here one serious infection or fungal infection every 3 to 4 years is there, and these are the infections. Every 3 to 4 years there will be one serious bacterial or fungal infection. Now how do you diagnose this? So diagnosis will be made by bone scan. So bone infection is there. If chest scan, if chest infection, to find out chest infection, you will do a complete blood count, and then flow cytometry test. So whether there is defective what monocytes or like that. So you will do that flow cytometry test through this. And this is a very important test, NBT test. So what will happen? This is a dye. So nitro blue tetrazolium test. So if there is formation of hypochlorite, this hypochlorite will oxidize this dye. Then this dye will convert like this. This is positive test. This is positive test. And if there is no production of hypochlorite, there will not be oxidation of this dye, and then test will be negative. So such test will be done. So these are the tests you can do to find out the disorder. So what are the inheritance? You will see inheritance is about 2/3 X-linked. As you have seen, the part of protein is X-linked here, and other are autosomal. So 2/3 is X-linked and 1/3 is autosomal recessive. So inheritance is a mixed type of inheritance. How do you treat this condition? Because there is bacterial infection, so you will have to treat this condition with antibiotics. And then there is actually high amount of this overexpression of immunity. So immunomodulator, you can give some interferons because immunity is altered. That is why you can give this interferon 1B. And then hemopoietic stem cell transplantation. If it is stem cell transplantation is done, so it will produce a good healthy macrophage, and that healthy macrophage will clear the infection. So this is also a treatment. Hemopoietic stem cell transplantation is the treatment. Now gene therapy, gene therapy are in research only. It has not been proven till now. So these are the treatment modality. Antibiotic, immunomodulation. Mainly antibiotic is the treatment of choice. Which antibiotic? Sulfonamide group of antibiotic. Trimethoprim, sulfomethoxazole. These are sulfonamide group of drugs. And now the definitive treatment is transplantation, stem cell transplantation. So this is the presentation you can see here. In patient infection plus over inflammation, you will see in such patients. So there will be infection. You can see draining pus. You can see so much this lymph node are swollen very much. So there will be try to contain the infection by fibrosis. The tissue will try to contain that infection. That is why there will be granulomas, and this granuloma plus infection will cause this lymph node to swell very high, very large. You can see very large lymph nodes here, cervical lymph nodes and the axillary lymph node. You can see this lymph node here. All lymph nodes, you will see swollen lymph node will be there. So this is chronic granulomatous what disease. It is because of deficiency of NADPH oxidase. And this is a different type of NADPH oxidase that is present in macrophage. Okay, there are different types of NADPH oxidase. Another type of NADPH oxidase is present in thyroid gland. So let's see this case. A 6-week-old male presents with lethargy, hypotonia, failure to thrive, delayed milestone development on physical. So you can see lethargy is there, hypotonia is there, failure to thrive, delayed milestone development on examination, physical examination. He is jaundiced and has a large protruding tongue. On blood investigation, baby has low thyroid hormone. A baby might have an NADH and a DPH dependent enzyme deficiency. Which of the following may be deficient in the condition? So what would be the problem? Which step of hormone synthesis and utilization is defective here because of deficiency of this NADPH dependent enzyme deficiency? So have you studied? You have not studied endocrine. Have you studied endocrine?
No, sir.
So that is why you don't know. Now see, let's see the synthesis of. Now this is the condition you will see here. So duox is the. This is duox is a specific type of NADPH oxidase that is oxidase. This is a specific type of NADPH oxidase that is present where? In thyroid gland. Same, it will utilize NADPH to convert into H2O2 like this. So that is why this is called duox. So this enzyme is duox. So deficiency of duox. This deficiency will cause this a very rare kind of disorder. So I just gave this disorder. This disorder is not as such that important, but I've given this order so that you will understand this NADPH significance of NADPH oxidase duox in synthesis of thyroid hormone also, and significance of NADPH for synthesis of thyroid hormone. Because you miss this concept, you will forget. Okay, NADPH. You will never bother whether NADPH is utilized for thyroid hormone synthesis or not. Now you can see here, this NADPH oxidase duox will utilize NADPH here. This NADPH will be utilized to convert it into H2O2. Now this H2O2 will be utilized for some certain function. So let's see this H2O2. What does it do actually? This H2O2 will actually convert this. This H2O2 will convert this iodine into iodine plus, and this iodine plus will be added to this tyrosine moiety. The tyrosine, tyrosine is present in the protein. Many protein will have tyrosine. This thyroglobulin has tyrosine here. So this is tyrosine. Now iodine, this iodine will be added here. Positive charged iodine will be added here like this. So addition of this iodine will form this iodotyrosine, and then this tyrosine will join, and then it will form a thyroxine like this. So you will study about the synthesis of thyroxine in Indo-Repro, so iodination. So this enzyme will help in iodination here. So it will actually convert I minus iodine minus to I plus. This I plus will be attached to this ring. So remember this function of this is to synthesis of this function of this duox is iodination. So iodination is the function of this. You can see this. You can see here. So this is convert this oxygen into this, and this iodination. So did you understand this? So NADPH is also required for hormone. hormone synthesis. And then it is also required for synthesis of neurotransmitter. You can see this neurotransmitter, very important neurotransmitter. Nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is synthesized from which amino acid? Do you know what is nitric oxide? Nitric oxide is free radical. It is a hormone.
Yeah, it's a vasodilator.
Yeah, gas hormone. Good. It is a gas hormone. It is also a neurotransmitter. Gas neurotransmitter. Did you get that?
Yes.
So this nitric oxide is synthesized from which amino acid? It is synthesized from arginine. And you know the structure of arginine? In urea cycle, I have already explained. This is a 5 carbon. You can see arginine, you draw the arginine like 5 carbon. So this is amino and this is acid. So 2 carbon, 1, 2, and then 3 carbon. So to this 3 carbon, there will be attachment of a guanidino group. So this guanidino group is nothing but to make a triangle. You put N group here, you put carbon at the center, here also a nitrogen, and then here also nitrogen. And then what you do? You make a triangle. Don't you remember this? Don't you remember this? This is guanidino group. And this is whole molecule is arginine. And now nitric oxide is synthesized from this. So what will happen? One of the nitrogen, this nitrogen will be eliminated as here. One nitrogen will be eliminated as nitric oxide. And the enzyme required for synthesis of this is nitric oxide synthase. And this converts this whole molecule arginine into citrulline. Did you get this? I will ask one question from this. So did you get this? Now in this process also from this this is guanidino group. You can create this is a carbon. Now this is a triangle. So this is a guanidino group. So create a triangle. How to remember guanidino group? And then put a carbon at the center, at apex nitrogen. Then this is guanidino group. So this from this guanidino one nitrogen it is oxidized, and this nitrogen after oxidation it will release nitric oxide, and this compound arginine is converted into citrulline here. And consumption is of NADPH for synthesis of nitric oxide. You can see NADPH is converted into 2 NADPH is required there. You can see. So did you understand this? Synthesis of nitric oxide also require arginine and then NADPH. So nitric oxide synthase are of three types. You can see neuronal. One is neuronal and other is inducible. And this inducible nitric oxide are required in, it is synthesized in macrophage, and this is actually they function as cytotoxin. It will damage bacteria. It will form as with other, it will also react with chloride, it will damage bacteria. So it is cytotoxin. And endothelial, it acts as vasodilator. So 3 types of NOS, INOS, ENOS. So this is a hormone, this is neurotransmitter, this is defense. See this from arginine, NADPH, and oxygen. What resulted is nitric oxide, then citrulline. And this 3 type of nitric oxide synthesis. And NOS is also called NOS1, nitric oxide synthase 1. This is I-NOS is called 2, nitric oxide synthase 2, and E-NOS is called nitric oxide synthase 3. So these 3 type of nitric oxide syntheses are present in our body. So let's see this. Pentose phosphate pathway does not contribute to which of the following process? Answer, please.
D.
B, which?
E.
E. Mineral balance. Now, this aldosterone, does aldosterone require NADPH? Divya,
Yes.
tell me. So it is not the answer. Sex hormone, testosterone. It also requires. Then tell me. Remember that 3 functions. First is what?
Cellular
First is
biopsy.
synthesis. Then second is detoxification. Third is NAD.
Yes.
So what would be the answer? So cell division, will it function as cell division? Yes, it will function as cell division.
Yes.
So this cannot be answered. Immunity,
Yes.
yes, it plays a role in. Lipid peroxidation, protection, yes, it plays.
Yes.
Energy metabolism,
Yes.
NADH will produce, not NADPH. NADH is a feedback inhibitor, feed forward inhibitor. Okay, not NADPH. So this is answer. Now you can see this can also be the answer. 2 answers are there. So sometimes I give such questions for practice so that you will become more confident. So substrate, it is not generally a substrate for electron transport chain. Okay, this is easy answer, clear answer. So NADH is required for electron transport. No. Pentose phosphate pathway is a flexible pathway and it is regulated by what regulates pentose phosphate pathway?
Need.
Yes, need regulates. We have seen this in RBC. There is need for glycolysis and then NADH, and that way it will be NADPH. That way it is regulated. In other cell like adrenal medulla, there is need for NADPH, then there will be NADPH only, and then more need of ribose phosphate will also convert it to this. And if there is need of both in dividing cell, there is need of ribose 5-phosphate, it will be also consumed, and then NADPH will also be consumed. So according to need, it will increase. The pathway is flexible, the pathway will modulate whatever need is there. So if need is high, there will be high, pathway will be very fast. If need is low, pathway will be slow. So that is the need will control, regulate the pathway. This is very important. All other, this is a bit different because this is a shunt. Other we have studied pathway, but this is a shunt. So that is why this regulation is also very different. Now, antibiotic is given to a 10-year-old boy to treat otitis media. Which of the following is not required for catabolism of antibiotics? So antibiotics will be metabolized by cytochrome 450 system. Now tell me. So which is not part of this cytochrome 450 system, which is not required? This will cause, ultimately it will cause hydroxylation reaction. It will utilize NADPH. So inside it there is FAD, FMN, and then HEM. So FAD, FMN, HEM, and then NADPH. This all will be utilized to convert some drug into hydroxy drug. So just tell me which is not this part of this enzyme right now.
E.
Is it part of this enzyme? Niacin? Part of this enzyme? Yes, it is part of this enzyme. So this cannot be answered. You can see this. NADP is what?
Niacin.
NADP is what? Niacin. So riboflavin, yes. FMN and FAD is riboflavin. Heme, yes, it is part.
Yes.
This is also not answer. Pyridoxine, it is not part of this. So this is answer. Thiamine is also not part. So two answers are there. Oxygen, yes.
It is part.
Oxygen is, so this cannot be answered. Two are the answer. Okay. So these are all part of this enzyme. So pyridoxine and thiamine are not present in this enzyme. Enzyme required for first pass metabolism is, what is the enzyme that is required for first pass metabolism? What is first pass metabolism? Drug, all drug that is absorbed from intestine will go through liver, through portal vein. Will it go through liver directly through portal vein? Tell me. After absorption? At least reply anything. Don't be quiet.
No.
Drug.
Yes.
Yes, drug, after you'll see blood, all the blood from GIT. It will reach first liver through portal vein. And through portal vein it will reach liver. And in liver this drug will be metabolized. Then from liver metabolized, the rest drug will be removed. That is why this is called first pass. This is the liver is pass for the drug. So the first drug metabolism will happen here. This is called first pass metabolism. And this here cytochrome 450 is the enzyme that will metabolize this drug. So that is why enzyme required for first pass metabolism, cytochrome 450. Which monooxygenase enzyme required for heme catabolism? Again, cytochrome 450 system of enzyme. Which monooxygenase enzyme required for steroid hormone synthesis? Again, monooxygenase is cytochrome 450 system. We are not concerned right now about the particular enzyme. We will study about the 5 particular enzyme when we study that. So this is also a part of cytochrome 450 system. Monooxygenase enzyme required for cholesterol synthesis. So again, cytochrome 450 system of enzyme. So remember, these are all function of cytochrome 450. So did you all understand this chapter? Production of, this is basically production of NADPH and utilization of NADPH. So actually I elaborated this. You can see. You can see. We talked about this in detail, oxidative burst. We talked about this. We talked about what? Production of this G6PD. That's all. So did you